15 tips in 5 minutes for the DJI Mini 2, including one that will make your footage look way more cinematic. Timer started, let's go. So the first is make sure your firmware is updated. This is especially true if you've bought your drone from a store. Chances are it's been sitting a while and is very out of date. You want the latest firmware because that includes bug fixes, and DJI is constantly bringing out and improving new features. For example, they've just improved the FPV mode on the DJI Mini 2. The second is make sure you can actually fly in the area legally. So it's important to know the drone laws for your country and where this permits you to fly. I always carry a document with me which shows the laws and where I'm allowed to fly, and if you want to download that, the download link is below. Make sure you've set your video to record at the correct FPS. This is even more important if you're also shooting with a camera at the same time, because if, for example, your camera is shooting at 30 FPS and your drone is shooting at 25 FPS, whenever you go to edit these together, one of your pieces of footage is going to stutter and you're going to have to adjust the FPS of that footage to match. So make sure that the FPS of both your devices is matching. I like to film at 25 FPS. Number 4, turn on Gridlines. This is a handy little overlay that the DJI Fly app has, and this will help you frame your shot to get much more cinematic looking footage. Number 5, always use manual video settings. This not only helps you dial in your shot, but automatic settings adjust while you're recording, and this can look really jarring and be really hard to edit when things like color temperature are changing during your shot. Always expose manual metering to around -0.7. This is my tip for getting much more cinematic footage out of the DJI Mini 2. I find it always helps to expose your shots slightly darker to around -0.7 using manual metering, because in post you can get much more dynamic range using color grading. If you don't know how to color grade, click the link above. Number 7, take photos in RAW. This goes for any camera, not just the DJI Mini 2, but compared to a JPEG, you can get so much more information out of a RAW shot, and you can take shots that really don't look that great, and using Lightroom turn them into something amazing. To have this ability, you must be taking your photos with as much information as possible, and that is why you use RAW. Before I get on to the next tip, I just want to say, please like this video if you're learning something new, and also remember to subscribe and turn the notification bell on. I really appreciate it. Number 8, tweak your gimbal settings. So when you're flying, the gimbal settings out of the box are okay, but I find you can tweak them to make much more cinematic movements with your drone. If you don't want to mess around and find the best settings which are suited to you, click the link above and I'll give you my best gimbal settings for the DJI Mini 2. Number 9, use an ND filter. If you want motion blur in your footage, you have to bring down your shutter speed, but this will make your shot blown out and overexposed in most sunny conditions. So for that, you want to use an ND filter, which allows you to bring your shutter speed down by putting basically a pair of sunglasses on your drone. If you want to pick up the ones I use, the link is in the description. Number 10, do not take off near obstacles. I find as you take off your DJI Mini 2, it can wander a little bit, and it can drift towards objects if they're very close to your drone. So do not be taking off close to poles or fences or anything like that, because sometimes you can find your drone will sway a little bit as it takes off. Number 11, make sure you're actually recording. This one sounds like a joke, but it's no joke if you get back after a day of getting epic drone shots to view them and realize you haven't been recording. I've personally found scenarios myself where I haven't been looking at the screen while recording. I've been just pressing the button to start and stop the recording, and I've got into a cycle of when I think I'm recording, I'm not, and when I think I'm not recording, I am. So I've just missed all my great shots and I end up with all these shots of me just flying into different drone positions. Make sure that you're recording when you think you're recording. Number 12, use LUTs to achieve cinematic footage. LUTs can be a time saver. They can stop you having to mess around with color grading, or if you're a beginner, they're an easy way to get cinematic footage. You simply apply a LUT to your footage and it will do most of the color grading for you, and you can get much more cinematic shots. If you want to get the LUTs I use, click the link in the description. Number 13, plan your shots. This one is really important. I find myself in multiple scenarios putting my drone up in the air and flying around aimlessly, getting really rubbish shots. You want to go to your location, think the shots through in your head, and then when you put your drone up, you already know the shots you're going to take. Top tip for me, before you go to a location, look on Instagram, look at the shots that other people have been taking, and then you already have an idea of good angles and good movements to take when you're there. Number 14, stay close when your battery is below 50%. It will surprise you how quickly the DJI Mini 2 battery can drain in high wind sport mode scenarios. So to save yourself any heartache, make sure your drone is relatively close to you whenever your battery is below 50%, so you don't end up in scenarios where you struggle to get your drone back. Number 15, always fly visual line of sight. This is a legal requirement in the UK, but it also doesn't make much sense to fly your drone out of sight because anything could happen. Not only could you endanger other people, but you could put yourself in a scenario where if you lose transmission signal to your drone, you might not be able to get it back. So don't put yourself in them scenarios, make sure you stick to the law, and make sure you always fly visual line of sight. So those are my 15 tips for the DJI Mini 2. Hopefully this quick video will make you a much better flyer, and make your flying experience much more enjoyable. If you've learned something new, please make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new around here and like drone related videos, please make sure to subscribe and please make sure the notification bell's on so you don't miss any of my other videos. Thanks for watching this one, I really appreciate it.